Hello, everybody, and welcome to Deer2Deer, the podcast where two deer talk about things that are dear to us. I like that. It just came out.
Yes, it did come out quite nicely. Kind of rolls right off the tongue, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yes.
Anyway, I am your host, Sale.
And I am your host, Cherry. And, well, let's just jump right in. Let's get ourselves some questions. Let's hope my phone does not die while we're doing this.
Oh no, so is your phone not charged?
It's got like 15%.
Oh gosh.
Well, while I'm trying to get this thing to work, why don't we talk about what has been going on in our lives since the last episode?
Alrighty. So those that have missed the last episode, we do an introduction in that episode. I explain who we are. If you have not seen that, go ahead and go back and watch that episode so we can catch up on this one. But since then, I, Sale, have been doing more manager duties over at Selectively Kawaii, the club that this is all hosted through and mostly promoted by. That's really mostly just it, honestly.
That's all you've been doing, just work.
Pretty much.
Work.
Pretty much. Well, we've had a busy week.
Yeah.
A lot of things have happened.
Oh yeah, I remember. A lot of weird stuff happened this week at the club, but...
And especially last night, actually.
Really? What happened last night?
I'll tell you afterwards.
Okay. Ooh, gossip I like. Well, as for me, I was going to start DJing this week, but my power went out at my house, so we had no power for about 2 days, which was Thursday and today, and I slept here at my house all by myself last night because my husband, he needs internet to do his job because he's an interpreter and he needs the internet to interpret online. And so I was left here all by myself because my dad was going to come over and help and see what was going on with the electricity. Apparently there is what's it called in English? In Spanish, it's a corte. Basically, it's like there's a
circuit breaker.
No, it's like there's a break in the electricity or something. There's something wrong in something of the electricity of a house that is causing like not exactly a power spike, but a weird jolt. Because when my dad was looking down at the electricity, it wasn't our house. Our apartment was it was just loose, so he had to put it back, and we had to get a part that cost like $5 that we put on there, and there it was good. But the one next to it, which is we're not sure if it's our neighbor, or right across the hall, quotation marks, neighbor, or the one from apartment 8. Because they're really close to each other, so we don't know which one is which.
Oh.
And so one of those apartments has something weird going on in their electrical system, and it's causing the ground wire to spark.
Oh, so it's almost just like a faulty wiring.
Yeah, there's a faulty wiring somewhere. We don't know if it's in their house or if it's from the electric meter to the apartment. But it was sparking. This ground wire was actually sparking.
Oh gosh.
So it was
dangerous ground wire. Don't touch.
Because the ground wire isn't supposed to spark. It's not supposed to electrocute you, and it electrocuted my dad twice.
Oh gosh.
So it was like,
That's a lot of electricity.
Yeah, it is. So we weren't able to figure out what was wrong with that wire, but we were able to fix ours, so now we have internet, and yay!
Yay.
Yeah. So, and we also put up fans So now we
really
have
cool
ceiling
town.
fans. And I fixed my sink. So, all the things. I'm excited about adulting. Yay. All these things that happen in my house, and it makes me happy. It lets you know how adult I am. My dad fixed my sink, and I was all happy about the fact that I could do dishes again. It made me
Hooray.
feel weird.
Oh my gosh.
It's really weird. But that was my week. So
Interesting.
yeah, so it wasn't just work. It was more like things are broken, now they're fixed. Yay. So yeah.
Nice.
Okay. So I got the forum open.
Alrighty.
And here's what we're gonna do. There are several like sub forums. We have adult, we have teenager, we have woman life, we have pregnancy, and that's it. There's also period.
Teenager.
But, yeah, let's go
teenager.
Teenager. Okay. Teen health, teen social, teen menstruation, or relationship with parents.
I would say relationship with parents.
Ooh, okay.
Sounds like there might be
be
some good ones.
Stuff in there, yeah.
He is.
Okay. Ooh, this one's called Parents versus Relationship.
Oh, okay.
That sounds really direct. Boom. Okay. Hello there. I'm a teenage girl from Greece. I am beep years old, and I don't speak English fluently, so I hope you forgive me if I make some mistakes. Well, my parents are overprotective, and they make me feel shame or terrible because of having a 2-year relationship with my boyfriend. And that's the problem. I want to do it with my boyfriend because we are fall in love and I trust him and he trusts me too, but I'm afraid of doing it since my parents, if they learn about it, will punish me. What can I do?
Well, I would say because we don't want to know the exact age of the person.
I'll just let you know they are underage.
They are? Okay.
They are underage, yeah.
I figured. I figured as much, because then that type of question wouldn't really come up. I would have to say, don't risk it until you're of age, just partially because while it might seem like a really good idea, while it might seem like it'll really show your love, bad things can happen. By bad things, I mean you can end up with a kid you weren't expecting. You can end up with a sexually transmitted disease, as we talked beforehand in our first episode about STIs and STDs and all that good stuff.
Good things.
Even with the most protection, even if you are, like, let's say, taking birth control, even if he does use it as a condom, it's still something that I feel should be saved until you are both legally of age, just because of you still have the legal barrier, which ultimately trumps everything, just in case. I mean, if you live in Greece and your boyfriend, I'm assuming, also lives in Greece as well, I personally don't know the laws over there, but I'm assuming that they're mostly similar to a lot of the rules around the world, about age of consent and everything of that nature. So that's just my personal thoughts. It's just while it seems like it's good to jump in and do it, your parents probably have the best in mind for you. And the reason why they're probably overprotective of you is because, well, they're your parents. It's kind of just a parental nature to protect your kids, so that way they can live themselves a happy life. So.
Yes, I agree with that, and I have a counterpoint. I just looked it up, and the age of consent in Greece, like average, is 15 years old. So as long as she's 15 and above, it's technically legal.
Okay.
And so I don't know if there are any like more like detailed like it is in the U.S. where if you're 15 and your partner's 21, then it's not legal anymore. But if you're like 15 and he's 19, it is legal still. And it's
actually, even being 19 is
yeah,
actually even
it's
being
still too old.
Still too old. It's a
2-year. Yeah.
It's a 2-year gap. Either way.
It really depends on the state and the country. There's so much. It's just so different. But it says that the average is 15, so we'll go with that. she's been in a relationship with her boyfriend for 2 years. Her parents are overprotective. I feel this hard. I feel it hard because my parents were also very overprotective. But I just heard this awesome explanation about why parents would be overprotective more over a girl than over a boy, because it was explained that basically it's because many men are horrible. You could say that it's not that they're the worst. Oh my God, they're just gonna grab you and rape you and do all the things. No, but they are at least at that age, sex is really there. It's really there, and because this is not just it's a half a truth, and it's also a stereotype, is the reason why most parents will be so overprotective of their daughters, because they want to keep them safe from those individuals that actually are the horrible stereotype, which exists, and I have met many.
It's better in a situation like that to generalize and just to knock out a majority than to risk it.
Yeah, because if you were to say okay, you can go out and do whatever and be with whoever, it doesn't matter, just be safe and whatever, then it'd be you run the risk of running into those people because it's not just men, there are women also out there that are horrible, and all the genders in between. What was the phrase that a friend of mine made up? Is that sucky people have no gender.
Interesting.
They just suck. If a person sucks, they just suck. It doesn't matter if they're a woman, if they're a man. They're a sucky person.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it's just, a sucky person is a sucky person, and it doesn't matter what gender they are. But basically, I'm gonna go into semi-storytelling mode here.
Ooh, stories.
Stories. I had my first boyfriend when I was, I was 17. No, I was 16 when we started going out. I was 17 when I lost my virginity to him, and he and I were in a relationship for 6 years. It was a long relationship. It was all of high school and a year of college, something like that.
Nice.
Yeah, it was alright. It was alright.
It was just, it was alright.
Alright, yeah. I can't say it was good, it was alright. Because weird things happen and things, but that's, those will be stories for a different day. But right now we're talking about the sex. But we started having sex when I was 17, and one of the things because I discussed it a lot with my two cousins, who were also very sexually active, at least one of them. Mm. One of them was quite the slut hoe back then, and the other one, she had been in a relationship with the same man for 11 years. So,
oh wow.
Yeah, I know, she was with him forever, and then they got married, and then she got divorced. Stuff, Yeah. And so when my first cousin, the one that had been with the same guy for 11 years, she said, do it if you feel like it. And then my other cousin, the slut hoe, she said, just don't do it if you feel like you'll regret it.
Makes sense.
That's all she said. And so I thought about it for a really long time, and I hate the people that call my house.
I can hear them in the background. It's just, ooh, calling.
Yeah, the thing about our house is that our home phone number starts with 661. And 661 is who the fuck is that?
That sounds like a dying cat.
I know, right? No, I think it's my boyfriend's sister. I'll call her back later. No, but 661 is the area code for the city that's right next to ours, Rosarito.
Uh-oh.
So we get a lot of calls because people are putting in the area code without the 01.
Oh.
So we get a whole bunch of calls of people looking for a specific hotel or a person who lives in Rosarito. So it's like, so we just got an answering machine, and the answering machine tells them to put the number that's missing. It says basically do the 01. Anyway, where was I? Oh yes, don't regret it. That's what my cousin said. And when he and I started to have sex, we used condoms like all the time. And like every single time we would use a condom, and we had a lot of sex outside at school because we're horny teenagers and nothing could stop us, according to us. It was
well then.
It was weird. It was a strange time. Like, I look back on it and I still don't regret any of those. Not really. It's more like I'm like, why did I do that?
It's just like a well then moment.
Yeah, it's a well then moment. It's like, I did that. Good on me, I guess. But I did it. And it's like, I can't go back and change it. And I really wouldn't, to be honest. But basically, if she doesn't really have a question now that I think about it. What was her question? It was, what can I do if her parents find out that she's having sex and stuff? Okay, so the thing she's afraid of is her parents finding out that she has sex. That would mean that she is afraid she won't be able to hide it from her parents. I mean, it's not like you have to tell your parents.
Yeah, I mean...
Most teenagers don't. You get caught, but, when that happens, it happens. It's like, I mean...
Kills the mood, but oh well.
It kills the mood, but it happens. I mean, it's like if your parents caught you eating the last slice of cake. You have to explain yourself, but you can't uneat the cake.
You can't undo the banging.
Yeah, you can't. So it's like, the only thing that they're going to find out is that you're growing up and there's nothing they can do about it, in all honesty.
That's sometimes at least from what I've been able to find out, to kind of explain where I come from. I come from an upper middle class neighborhood because of just the location of where I live. And like I've lived here all my life, right? Mm-hmm. So I border quite literally like the rich like $1 billion homes, right? Uh-huh. And then right next to them you have the middle class. And so those kids share a lot of the schools. And one thing I always see is that the kids that have no parental control, in terms of like the parents just don't care at all, they get into a lot of like drugs, they get into a lot of stuff. And again, it's stereotyping, but it's more than just stereotype because it is statistically proven as well that it just happens. And then you have the kids who have those really rich parents who do want to shelter them, that do want them to be, self-contained, but because of that, it causes a rebel attitude, and then on top of that, they get into drugs, they get into sex and all that stuff. So it's a double-edged sword. It's either you don't want to be too lax, yet you don't want to be too hard on your own kid, because it's like a fine walking line. Like if you have a kid, and you say, hey, go clean the dishes and stuff like that, while the parent might think of that as like a very small thing, sometimes the kid, if they don't have a good common sense or just a good enough understanding of how the parent wants to kind of operate and how they kind of view the world, it can be seen as over controlling it can be seen as making too many demands, and again, it's just a very fine line, and that varies from person to person. It really does. So all you can really do is generalize and stereotype because it is such a varied topic.
Yeah. Okay, we're gonna have to put a pause on it so that I can answer my mother-in-law. Okay.
Alrighty.
The pause can end.
Okay. The pause can end. Yay.
Where were we?
We were just finishing up with differing opinions. Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with you. It's like, you can't shelter them too much, but you can't give them too much of a leash, because either way, they're going to find their way into things you don't approve of, because that's just the way
kids.
that kids are. They experience things by experiencing them. Like, sex sounds cool and all of that. And if they want to have sex, they're going to have sex. That's just the way it is. So basically, the only advice we could give her is, you can go ahead and do it, but have protection, have, the tests, have, all the information that you can, and since it's your first time, prepare to be disappointed. And,
very much so.
Yes, and if your parents find out, be prepared for that very awkward conversation.
It's gonna be a very awkward conversation.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, like, how long you put it off. If they eventually find out, you're gonna have that awkward conversation. I'm lucky that I didn't have to have that awkward conversation. Like, I think my parents knew, but they kind of ignored it.
They're just like, oh well.
Oh no, now I remember, because my grandma was talking. I remember now. I was talking to my grandma. My dad was complaining to her because it was when I was with my husband, not when I had already broken up with my ex-boyfriend. And my dad was complaining about, stuff and things. And my grandma was like, "You were the same when you were young." She is just growing up. You gotta let it happen, and at least she's not like your sister.
Well then.
That's what she said. And
well then.
Like, yeah, I know, right? And I'm lucky I have a decently cool grandma. And so she basically semi-diffused it. So, like, as soon as your parents, like, accept the fact that you're growing up, it's going to calm down and stuff.
Yeah.
Because, it's just, meh, I say.
I would say that I feel like we kind of handled that topic pretty well.
Yeah.
Any other curious ones in there, or should we move on to a different topic in there?
Well, we could. Let's see. Because in the other teen things, we have teen social, teen health.
I'd say teen health.
Let's see. Teen health. Boobs! Is the first one. We have puberty, losing weight, UTI, curves, no eating and sleeping. I'm going for boob problems, yes. Boob problems. Since finals of March, my boobs started growing up more, and sometimes I feel very itchy in my nipples. Is this normal, or can I be allergic to something? Boobs.
Interesting.
Well, as a person who has boobs, I can tell you that's normal. Boobs itch. They itch a lot.
I did not know
Nobody
this.
tells you this, but they itch a lot. Like, if you get stimulated randomly by anything, by the wind, I don't know.
By your t-shirt.
By your t-shirt. By the bra you are wearing. It doesn't even have to be a sexual stimulation. Like, you just moved weird, and the bra decided to shift. And this will cause you to itch. This will make you itch. And usually it is the nipple for some strange reason. And when your boobs are growing, either two things will happen. They will be tingly and itchy, or they will hurt. And sometimes both. But usually it's one of the two. When I was a teenager, they hurt very often when they were growing, and now that I'm older, if they decide to grow for some stupid random reason, they will itch. And the thing that one of my cousins realized, and she kind of through a lot of self-experimentation, she found out that if your boobs are played with, they have a tendency to swell a little bit, so this can cause them to itch. So, like, if a girl has a guy playing with her boobs while she's in the stage of growing, then they'll probably be bigger than they would be if nobody had touched them.
Interesting.
Yeah, boobs are weird. And heavy.
I'm just gonna let you answer this one, because I honestly have no clue about this at all.
Do your nipples itch?
As a guy who is currently still a guy, no.
No, my nipples do not itch.
This is not how. I will say though, it kind of can be in the reverse for a guy. Like you can kind of turn the situation around. Like if you're a guy and you're growing, like one of the first things you'll notice is obviously that you'll just have uncontrollable random moments where you're like, why is my dick hard? You'll be like just sitting there and all of a sudden you're like, why is it hard?
What are you doing?
And mostly that's just because it's caused by blood flow. For those of you that don't know anything about how the body functions, for a guy, for it to become hard, basically blood is rushing through his dick at all times. Simple and plain.
Not that easy.
It sounds weird to say. It sounds weird to say, but it's true. But for a guy, I would say that, like, because I know one thing that kind of can cause it a lot is that if you're a guy that wants to stay clean, if you're a guy that does actually shave, which some guys don't, some guys do, if you accidentally shave too much, you can get really, really bad itching.
Oh, yeah.
And to the point where it becomes so bad. So tip out there for you guys, if you ever have that problem, I do recommend getting talcum powder, and especially the medical grade, because you put that stuff on, it's like magic. You're just like, I can go about my day now, hooray!
Hooray! Yeah. My husband is also, he's not a shaver, he's a trimmer. And his reason is that because he's a big guy, he's larger than the average guy around here, and he sweats. Like, obviously, he sweats, and the hair traps sweat, and it itches, and sometimes it pokes him for no reason at all when it's longer. So he trims it so that it doesn't bother him, but there are times when it's, like, growing, and it's just horrible.
Yeah.
So, it's a thing, and I also trim. I do some landscaping. It's all right. Because it sometimes gets really annoying.
Well, and I mean, and it's not just about keeping it looking nice. There actually is medical reasons for trimming, and shaving. It does actually keep the area more bacteria free, thus preventing the chance of getting an STI or UTI, anything of that nature, and even for guys, if you're worried about your dick size and you have not trimmed, I suggest you trim it and then look at your dick size, because you're gonna notice the difference.
It's a really cool illusion.
It's like, interesting. I mean, and this is just real talk, This is not us trying to be funny. This is actual real talk and stuff like that. So.
Yes. I'm remembering a thing.
Okay, with this thing.
Yes, I'm trying to remember it because I forgot it when I said I remembered it. It was about trimming and the thing, like, now I remember. Basically, also a good reason to shave is if you shave completely, you won't be able to get crabs. Because crabs are unpleasant. And they're gross. It's the crab is basically the lightest of this quote unquote sexually transmitted diseases, because it's really just lice in your pubic hair that makes you itchy.
So disturbing.
It is. It really is.
So disturbing.
It is. and the worst part, the reason that crabs is in the pubic hair is because of the way that their legs are shaped. So they can only hold on to the hair because the hair there is thick. So that's the only kind of hair that they can hang on to. And I think they suck the blood out, which is why you get itchy.
Makes sense.
I mean, it's really easy to get rid of them if you do end up getting them. They have a cream, you just shave and then you put it on there, and like 2-3 days of doing that, and it's usually gone. But the thing is that because of the type of environment that they need, which is warm and dark and shit.
All the perfect conditions.
All the perfect conditions. It makes it so that for some reason it's a shameful thing to have, but it's really... It used to be a lot more common, but it's not as common anymore, but it still is kind of... It's there. But they're not the worst thing you can have.
I will say, while we're kind of on the topic of, genitalia and stuff, for both boys and girls, as a guy who ended up doing heavy research at the time because I had a girlfriend and she wanted a chest binder, if you're a girl or a guy who has, big man boobs and you want a chest binder to reduce that size, definitely look at your products and read the reviews, but the first thing is that if you do wear it too long, it can cause permanent damage. Be aware of the health risks with anything you're doing with your genitalia. Be aware of the health risks that do exist with it, because you're basically constricting something, whether it be like a crotch protector, like a chastity belt for some of you that some might have that. Who knows? Or yeah, again, right? It's a thing. It's just beware of the health risks, because while those are probably cool and fun to do, and they help improve your appearance, or they're meant for playing around, that's just my advice. Is just make sure that you have a good understanding of the health risks. So
safety first, not just condoms. You have to make sure that what you're doing isn't going to hurt you or somebody else. Like, that's the most important thing.
I would say the chest binder really applies to a lot of cosplayers.
Yeah, it actually does. I used to want one for the lulz, but they're expensive.
The one that I ended up getting my girlfriend was $60, and it wasn't like a full T-shirt. It was almost like a sports bra.
Oh yeah, I've seen those.
And it worked pretty dang well, to be honest.
Yeah, they really do. They're cool.
Yes.
So, do we want to get one more question, or do we want to...
Yeah, let's go ahead and do one more question.
Let's go back to relationship with parents, because why not?
Because why not?
Yeah. Let's see. This one here says choosing parents.
Interesting.
Okay, that one is a legal question, so I'm like, we can't do that one. We're not like
legal consultants.
Let's go to Teen Social instead.
Alrighty.
There's one that says, where are these from? Hi, I've always had stretch marks on my thighs for as long as I can remember, but recently I got more on more butt, and I want to know why. Or where do they come from? Why am I getting them? Anything. Okay.
Stretch marks?
Stretch marks, that's easy.
Oh, do you want to go first, or should I want that?
I'll go first. I have a lot of stretch marks.
Likewise.
Yeah. My stretch marks are actually caused by the fact that I have really dry skin. And so when I gain weight and then lose it, you can say quickly. If I gain weight and then lose it quickly, I will end up with stretch marks. Like, most of mine are, in the butt area, boobs, stomach. But it's because my skin is dry, so it doesn't heal as fast as other people's skin. That's the main reason that I've heard of why you can get stretch marks. Just gaining weight and then losing it, which you do a whole lot of when you're a teenager.
Mm-hmm. I would say, at least stretch marks for me. So, at the time of this recording, I've lost actually a couple pounds since I've started working at the current job that I work at. But when I started working there, I was around 240 pounds. I don't mind throwing that number out there because that's actually the number, and this self-explains the case. So if you were to look at me, I have stretch marks on my waist region, and that's about it. The reason why, at least for me, why I have stretch marks is because I did eat a lot of, well, exactly. It's just I ate a lot of unhealthy things that give you a lot of just body fat. And then my current job, because of the nature of it, I'm always running around, moving around, so I lose weight that way, which is actually really nice. That I don't have to like go to
lose weight while working
and make money, right?
Yeah.
So, but I mean that's the same thing. It's when your body is trying to find the extra room to put the body fat, it has to quickly multiply its cell count, and because of that, your cells are dividing at a faster and faster rate, and they don't have the normal time to fill in. It's kind of almost the same with a scar. If you have a scar, your body's going to want to overproduce cells to fill in the scar, and because it's overproducing, it's going to go ahead and create extra bumps on your skin where you have scars and things like that. Well, with stretch marks, your skin's producing at a normal rate, but because your body's trying to expand faster than what your body wants to produce the cells, it's gonna leave those stretch marks, those indentations. That's just my personal understanding of it. If any of you have doctorates or anyone knows about more of this than any one of us do, please feel free to correct us in the comments. This is just
from a doctor.
Yeah, I mean this is just from my understanding of it.
From personal observation.
Yes, from personal observation.
Yeah, but I was told that it was because my skin is drier than normal. So if I were to moisturize every single day, I would probably not get as many stretch marks. But I don't.
Well, I mean, and here's like the thing that like I bring that up why it's only on my waist region. Like I used to do figure skating. We haven't mentioned this on the stream before, but for those of you who never knew who are in my personal friend group, I did figure skating for 8 years, and because of that, my thigh muscles are bigger than a normal person's because I had to develop the muscles to jump in the air, lift my body 3, 4, 5 feet into the air at some points. Well, not 5 feet stretching it, like 3 feet maximum, really. But because that your body was building the muscles, and because it was athletic training, because it was conditioned training, I don't have stretch marks there, as with it was just gluttonous eating that I had after I finished figure skating because of high school at the time. So
I would like
God, those were some of the best years
of you figure skating.
You've seen pictures.
I've seen pictures, but not videos.
I may still have some competition videos. I may still have some competition. I love my music. One time I did Oliver Twist. I did a routine to Oliver Twist. And I looked like a chimney sweep. That was like, oh God, what was that? I think I want to say it was like 10 or 11 when I did that. So that was a good 9-10 years ago. But oh my God, it's so much fun. But God, it annoyed the hell out of people because I'll play the routine on repeat during my practice, and I'll just hear, consider yourself at home. It's just like on repeat. Oh my God, I feel sorry for people.
Yeah, I think a lot of dancers can relate to that. I mean, I never really did dancing. I was a Girl Scout. I have the books and stuff. Like, I never did anything like so committed for that long.
Oh my gosh, but like money for figure skating, if you're not prepared for it, it will just suck you dry.
I bet.
Well, no, because a good example is one year I had figure skates, right? Mm-hmm. And my feet were growing actually so fast I went through 3 pairs of figure skates.
Oh my gosh.
Given if you're a figure skater like I was, you had to get custom boots that were then heated up to, I think, 200 degrees, then put on your foot, and the foam would expand to fit around your foot, so it's form-fitted. Then on top of that, the blades themselves. Good thing is we were able to save the blades because it was just transferring the blade from one boot to another. But the boots themselves cost $300, $400.
Oh my gosh.
Times that by, for a set of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So times that by 3 in a year, you're looking at $1,200.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Oh yeah. Needless to say, when I went in there the first time to get those skates, actually, the person in there was like, how the heck is your feet still fitting in there? Because I was like 2 sizes too big for the figure skate.
You're just like, I just force it in there.
Exactly, right? Alrighty.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I think we should go ahead and do the SL question.
Gosh, let's do that. Do that. Let's see. Today's SL tip of the week. It is? Yeah, week. SL tip of the week is investing.
Investing.
So what is investing? in Second Life. Investing in Second Life is basically the way it sounds. Put money into the game. Now, Sale, take it
away. So there's quite a different bit of ways to really, invest money and to even have a bank account in SL. The first way that most people, I would assume, end up going through it. I've heard a lot of different, ways to make money in SL, but the main way is to literally just buy the Lindens. You set up your payment information, you go ahead and buy Lindens. I know that the transaction for about 2,000 Lindens, which is actually quite a bit of Lindens, considering for what you can get on the market, is around $8.50 US, around $8.50 US, or USD for those that don't use the US currency. It's $8.50 USD. But when it comes to at least earning the money, and that's all, there's plenty of ways. As we mentioned before, at Seductively Kawaii, which is a club in a mall, we have positions that we hire people, and we don't necessarily pay the people, they are paid in tips from the patrons that come to the club. So the patrons, which have money that they've accumulated some way or another, will tip the dancers, will tip the DJ, will tip the host, they'll tip money to the club and things of that nature, and that's how one way you can earn money. And then you have spending money. And that's really what Lindens is. It's spending money. And another way is, I think there's like free surveys you can do to get Lindens that way. There's like bets. You can do gambling. Would recommend gambling as it is an addiction, or at least considered an addiction. But for those of you that are into gambling, there is gambling that you can do. Basically, Second Life operates as a real life. If you want to go ahead and make money as a firefighter, I'm sure there's some place out in SL that'll pay you to be, to roleplay as a fighter.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah. I mean, and it's mostly just, again, as we talked about in the first section, using that search bar and finding those places. And if you're ever unsure, always ask a staff member at a place if there's ways to earn money if there's ways to be hired. Because I'm pretty sure that they would be more than happy to either pass it along, or if they're the owner, they'd be more than happy to answer the question right then, right there, or even something in the manager position. So, and then as for investing, I guess you want to talk about what's considered a good buy, Cherry.
Let me see. My brain died.
Oh no. Brain.exe.
Yeah. It died. I
can't
brain.
Poop.
In Second Life, like he said, the currency of Second Life is Lindens, and they work the same way as regular money. I myself have actually bought Lindens before, and I found it worth it. I did. If you want to get good things for your avatar, or if you want a place to call your home in Second Life, you need Lindens, and you need to have enough to spend on them. Because there are places where you can live, but you have to rent it. And renting it sometimes can be 100 Lindens a week. Usually it's per week. Or if you want an entire island all to yourself, it's going to be in the thousands of Lindens a week.
I think at least the place where we live currently right now, Cherry, our landlord is paying, I want to say, 9,000 a week in Lindens.
I think so. She told me the exact number once, and
I think it's a ballpark of 9,000.
Yeah, it's the ballpark, and we can ask her later if we feel like it and remember. But
remember, that's a good point.
Yeah, we live there, and she pays the big amount, and we pay our rent every week most of the time. Sometimes I don't make it every week because I don't have money.
Yeah.
But if Sale started playing the game very recently, but he has
compared to a lot of people.
Yeah, compared to a lot of people, and he's gotten really, really far in knowing how to use an avatar, how to modify an avatar, how to do all of these things and make him not only himself but the rest of the world to look good because he actually invested money in it. You actually spent your own money so that you could learn all of these things because it takes money.
Yeah, and while you can get stuff for free, while we talked about the free malls last episode, in order to get the most out of Second Life, I would say you would need a minimum of probably 4,000 Lindens. And the reason why I throw that ballpark estimate out there is and that's just to start off. That's just to get you an avatar if you don't want to use one of the base avatars. Especially for a furry, you're gonna need an avatar. Because while the base Linden Lab furry, which I don't really think they have that in the game anymore, or if they do, I can't really find it.
The base Linden Lab quote-unquote furry is a werewolf.
Oh, yeah, so that's a werewolf now.
Yeah.
But it's like, while it's good, you can find a lot better avatars on the marketplace for cheap. And as we mentioned last episode when we were talking about how we create our characters, you heard us reference some of those avatars being the Kemono, those avatars being the Bifrost Bunny, we had the Orange Nova Circle, the Vis Bunny, you have the, there's a slew of different things.
So many.
And those are
like for years.
And those are just for the furries. I mean, that doesn't count the vampires. That doesn't count the werewolves. That doesn't count even the human avatars. The human avatars themselves can be different. You have very, very complex avatars to very simplified avatars, and it just really, as we mentioned beforehand, using that search bar in the marketplace to really search for what you want. But as you are looking on the marketplace, you're going to notice that you are going to need Lindens. And now, while going in SL and begging for Lindens is kind of frowned upon.
It's frowned upon in real life too.
It's frowned upon just it's basically because you're begging for money, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and if you have friends that are willing to lend you Lindens and stuff, that's one thing because they're willing to help you. But if you want to make yourself a place, and at least set aside some funding to go ahead and get some Lindens. If you want to find a place to live, a good place to start is find a place to work. So that way you can make your rents. So that way you can have those Lindens. And if you have a place like where we live, where it's like a beach resort or something of that nature, you are gonna need to buy a house. Or if you have like an apartment, you're gonna need to buy furniture for the apartment. It really is taking into account what you have and what you don't have, and what limitations you have to work around.
Yeah, it's just like life. You have to pay for your house, you have to pay for your furniture, you have to get everything, and everything costs money. The only thing is, in Second Life, you don't have to pay your water bill.
Or the utility bill,
mm-hmm.
or the air conditioning bill.
Mm-hmm. Yes. The only thing you have to pay is rent. So, that's alright. I myself would actually highly encourage spending your own money on Second Life. Mostly because it does help you get the first step and then the next. Because, let's use numbers. The Kemono avatar costs 500?
900.
900 Linden. And that's a body, and it comes with the body and the animal head. But if you want the Kemono body shape and you want a human face, they have the
M3 head.
Face. The M3 head, which costs 500, I think.
I want to say that it does cost about 500, yeah.
It's 500, so that's more than 1,000 already if you want it to be a human, but...
Then on top of the clothing that comes for it.
And then the clothes, which some are I have seen 500 Linden clothes.
Or if you ask me, you can go for armor and spend upwards of almost 3,000 on armor.
Yeah. It all depends on what you want to wear. Like me, I'm into dresses and stuff.
Well, and here's a good rule to follow. If you're looking for simple, and you're looking for a simple outfit, if you look at tank tops, t-shirts, and shorts, those are gonna be in the lower ballpark end because there's gonna be a slew of them on the market, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's gonna, And then if you're looking at more like cybernetic stuff, those are going to be a bit more higher priced. And then if you're looking at armor quality, that's where it really jacks up the price. And for a good example here, Cherry here, as she's mentioned before, is an artist. And because of that, I had her do a rendition of an art piece that I found online that we referenced artists. And this is just all get around the limitation of creating this one outfit in SL. But because of the detail that was to go into this outfit, it's costing about 20k Linden, or 20,000 Linden, for those of you that don't math at the moment. And 20,000 is a humongous number.
Yeah.
Some people never even get to spend 20,000 Linden. And it's just all dependent on your finances. Like you can get a custom avatar made for you for about 1,200 Linden. Case in point, I'm getting an avatar that is, well, it's not an avatar, it's a skin for an avatar that is, costing around 1,200 Linden. You can easily, that's, less than $8, because again, at 850 is, 2,000, right? Mm-hmm. So it all depends on what you're looking for, and it all depends on what you're willing to invest into Second Life.
Yeah, it really is. Like, I paid a modder to do the skin for my avatar, and I don't remember how much that cost, but I used PayPal. But, I actually did that twice. But the first time I didn't get it. I had to ask for my money back. Anywho, if you have a character that you want to see in 3D, it can happen. Especially if you use an easy modifiable avatar. So you find a shape that fits, and you just go with it, usually. Like, the avatar that I chose for my fursona is actually the Kemono, because she's supposed to be small. She's supposed to be, cute and stuff. And I so far haven't found the right head that I want for her. I have used the paws canine. I'm now using the maned wolf because it has a longer nose and it looks a little bit more feminine, but it still doesn't look as feminine as I want it to look. I mean, I may end up having to get her head custom made because it's just not feminine enough for me. So these are things you have to think about, and things that you will probably have to spend money on, especially if you're passionate about a character that you want to see in the game. It's not going to be free.
Yeah. No, and I'm going to say this right now, that if you're looking for a good base avatar, look at malls, because malls are usually going to have the vendors that are going to have the lower priced avatars, which are good starter avatars. They really are. Again, as we mentioned in the last episode, regardless of how your avatar looks, you can always improve its look by color matching. And so if you get, some sort of avatar and you want to improve the look right away, color matching, that's literally it. You can go with the base clothes and color match them.
Yeah.
Right then and there, and that works. And then if you get like a more pricey avatar, which I'm going to name one, which is the Vis avatar, you're looking at 1,900 Linden. And for some people, that's not a doable amount. It's not a foreseeable amount to invest in. And a good example of that is I've had many people tell me that I shouldn't have invested my money into the Vis avatar. Yeah, I absolutely love what I've been able to do with it. I've customized it to the point where I almost never ever see a single, even close look alike to my own avatar. And that just kind of shows you just what you can do just by using the market. What I have on my Vis avatar is completely all market bot stuff, except for the hair, which I had to go to a hair mall, but that's technically considered a market because it's a mall. You're going to a place to go buy something. None of it was custom made.
Yeah.
And if you get something
custom make your entire avatar that you have as the Vis, oh my goodness.
Yeah, and just because of that, I've probably spent upwards of, I want to say probably 6,000-7,000 Linden just on the Vis avatar alone, not including my Kemono, which I've probably sunk about 20,000 already into, not including the Circle, which is probably another 1,300 or so, including a bunch of other avatars. Like you can see that I've spent the time to put the money in, but that's because I had the finances to do it. And this is not in the passion. Mostly just the passion, and then the finances are just a means. But that's what we're saying is that if you have that passion, if you have that that drive, if you have that, just that sense that you really want to experience, Second Life, you want to go ahead and do that because of what you can do, because of how customizable it is. But then again, you don't need to be customizable at all to even enjoy Second Life. As we said beforehand, it really is just an online chatting simulator with extra options that, only enhance the game.
Yeah, that's really true. Like, probably one of my favorite avatars is my Jex, Sasha. And she's just a Jex, and I just put clothes on her. And the Jex is made, it's on the base avatar. It just has the head, the feet, and the tail extra. And I think the ears are also, like, separate.
Yeah, the ears are too.
But she is probably one of the most basic of the furry avatars that you can get, because it uses the base body that SL gives you. It's not mesh, it's not overly sculpty or anything. It's pretty basic, and I love her because she's so pretty.
Yeah.
Like, I customized her, I gave her hair. That's pretty much all I did to her body. I gave her hair, I've bought boobs for her, and other parts. And I can put her in clothes that I can't put on the kimono. I can't put on the Bifrost bunny that Sale helped me buy. Like, those two, because they're mesh, I cannot just buy any random clothes that I see on the marketplace. It has to fit the avatar.
Mm-hmm.
But since I have one that's on the base avatar, I can just, if I see something I like, I can buy it, and I know it'll fit her. So it's like, yay.
Yeah. And I mean, and as, Cherry was saying, it's just all dependent on, what you can do with so little. You can really do with a whole avatar. You can do a whole avatar with less than 2,000 lindens if you really wanted to. That's just how little you actually need to completely create an avatar, even if you're not using the standard avatar. And if you're using the standard, Linden Labs avatar, then you have more leeway with your money.
Yes.
And the more you invest, the more options are open to you, more doors are open. And, this kind of segues into our furry topic, which is how to make a more interesting avatar. And this is more directly directed to furries, but it reiterates a lot of the same points that we just mentioned, which is, just finding a way to connect with what you want to do. And so for a furry avatar, as we've mentioned in the past, how we created it, is you want to go ahead and really think about, if you were to write a book around this character, how would you do that? Would you tell it from first person view? Would you tell it from third person view? What experiences have they've gone through? What experiences will they go through? And just that alone can help you pull together a whole avatar.
Yes, it really does. And also, I think if you want to create a good avatar, don't make it too complicated. Like, because if you're, and this also goes to just a fursona, like, or a character of any furry kind. Like, you can have a complicated character, but you can also overcomplicate it. You can make it so complicated and so packed with stuff that it's just confusing.
Yeah, like, and a good example of this is if you ever go to YouTube and you type in this is a My Little Pony fan-based creation group that does this, but the name of the group is Your OC Sucks, and or at least that's the name of their podcast. And what they do is they pull in, like, for how many hosts, if they have like 2 hosts, they'll pull in 2 bad OCs and 2 good OCs, and they'll critique them. And just watching that show alone, you can take that knowledge and apply it to other areas, because it's literally the knowledge. It doesn't specifically pertain to it. I mean, sometimes the backstory does, if the character has a backstory, because then it's directed in the actual universe. But if it's physical appearances and stuff like that, it can, it can be transferred outside of that realm into the realm of your fursona. And like with Cherry's, Cherry's Jex, it's literally, this pink Jex with black markings and cute dresses. I mean, that's the 3 basic things that it breaks down to, and that's not overcomplicated.
Yeah, that's true. And you forgot her crown. She has a
Oh,
crown.
the crown.
She's a princess. That's really
She's
right.
a princess.
I think I've put that crown on the two avatars that I use the most, which is the Jax and my fursona. So they both have that crown.
Nice.
But yeah, I love the crown, and it was free.
Nice.
But
Free crowns.
yeah, like you're saying your OC sucks. I need to watch that. I think I watched one episode. Oh my gosh, phone.
Your phone's like, I'm going to enter a podcast now.
Says yes, I understand what you're saying. It said no, but it reminded me of it's a Facebook page. It's called Basic Furries. When it first went up, so many people were in an uproar because they said it was making fun of other people's personas, but really it was harshly critiquing them. So it was like what they'll do is they will find a picture of a character and they will show it, and usually all they do is upload the picture and that's it. Like sometimes they don't even have a caption on it. They just upload the picture, and then the whole comment section will be full of either critiques or just telling you it's bad. Like, I just opened it up right now, and there's horror on here.
Pure horror.
But basically, what they have on here is the things that make a fursona bad. It's overcomplicated characters, colors that don't match, too many accessories, doing the horrible thing of just recoloring Disney cartoons.
Oh, dang.
Ugly fursuits. Really creepy memes. I have no idea what this is. And, that kind of stuff. And not everything on it is like badly drawn or things like that. It's just there are things that are wrong with it, and usually it's colors that don't match or too much neon, or it's just too freaking edgy.
Well, and
this page is just, it's full of those kinds of things. Like right now I'm looking at a character that is super overcomplicated. Just way overcomplicated. I'm gonna send it to you later.
Okay.
And it's like, this isn't necessary for the character. It's too much. There's too much going on. My brain doesn't know how to brain.
Yeah, and I kind of want to use a good example to kind of show the stark difference. A good example is if you were to take a look at the main avatar I use now, the furry race is called a Zeal, spelled Ziel. I could go into a whole kind of complex thing of what a Zeal is, but we'll say that for a later date. But to kind of put this into perspective, basically think of like a tusked. I'm trying to think how to say this. Anyway, it's a tusked creature with long pointy ears and a tail that has a mouth at the end of it, right? So first off, that on its own is pretty borderline complex. On top of that, I have armbands that I wear on almost every outfit, but because they make them complement my outfits, they never get in the way. And one outfit to really showcase this is I have a nurse outfit. This nurse outfit in SL is hitting the max cap for the amount of attachments you can have. So to kind of explain what this is this nurse outfit is, I'm basically in a nurse dress. It has like the little nurse hat on. I have face piercings and eyeglasses and a hair bow. So all that right there is already a lot. But again, because it all matches, because it's all color matched, because of the way it all places itself, it doesn't overcomplicate or overclutter the avatar. And then on top of that, I have a medical bag on my left hand, hip. On the right hip, I have a bunch of different needles, as well as a gigantic needle sitting on my back. But again, if you were to take a look at it, it's not overcomplicated, it's not overcluttered because of the way it's set up, because of the way it was created.
Yes.
And so you can have an OC with a slew of different things on there, as just explained. But it's the way you color match and the way you go ahead and build the avatar around it. You build your OC around it. It can make or break. It can make or break the OC, really.
Yes, it really can. Like, I remember I don't remember if it was on Basic Furries or on My Fursona is Better Than Yours. but they had a character that was, like, the base was black, and then it had yellow, and then it had neon pink, and then it had neon green feet, and the paw pets were rainbow, and it had a scarf, and it had seen hair, and it had piercings on its nose, and on the nose bridge, and it had ear piercings. It had like 5, and it had tail piercings, and it had like 4 pairs of wings, and it had like bracelets, and it had anklets, and it had just all these things. There were so many things, and it could have looked really good if it went together, but it didn't.
And you see, that's the thing with color matching, and that's why I would always recommend, if you can, do try to stay away from rainbow, because rainbow's really hard to color match.
Yes, I hate rainbow, to be honest.
While I would say, if you're gonna make a rainbow colored OC, you want to go with neutral colors for your clothes, completely neutral, whites, blacks, and grays.
Yes.
Or even just solid blues, solid reds. Make it one color, because you already have a slew of colors on your own avatar. And a good example again of this was Sail the Kimono. If you look at these the artwork for my kimono, the actual Sail the Kimono, you'll notice that the skin is a rainbow skin. And
it's a pastel yellow.
But it's a pastel. It's not bright neon. It's a subtle pastel color on a white overlay. On top of that, because it's so pastel, and I wore dark clothing, I wore simple clothing. Probably the most complex outfit I ever had for it was an armor piece, and this armor piece was either the mage armor that I had, which was black and red, simple, just those were the colors, black and red, or I had a cybernetic jacket that the back portion of it was this hex pattern that would oscillate colors, but it would always be a neutral orange though. It would oscillate colors between like a yellow, a red, and an orange, and I think a green.
I think so.
But because of the neutral base colors that were already used, it never clashed with the avatar, or the OC in the sense, and it kind of does take an eye. It does kind of take like a photographic eye to look at it and really see those details. But if you don't have that, just taking 5 minutes and looking at it and say, does this look good? If your consensus is yes, ask one of your good friends. Say, hey, yo, how does this look? And and ask them for their honest opinion. And if they give you any critique, look at what they were critiquing and see if you can improve that anyway. Ask them for opinions on how to improve it. I've done it with multiple OCs. I've done it with multiple avatars. I've always asked my friends, hey, how does this look? How can I improve it? And if they give me a suggestion, I will take in the suggestion. I will try it. And if it doesn't work out, then we know it doesn't work. So it's a lot of playing around and a lot of experimenting.
Yes, so it is really. And you should really take critiques with a grain of salt, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, if someone tells you, wow, you are really bright, then you're probably too bright. So, like, my fursona is yellow. She is yellow, but I made sure to put a lot of white in it, and this actually does cut the yellow. And since she has pink hair, it does this weird contrast effect, and it doesn't make her as bright.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, and so she's like, she's not as straining to the eye as she could be.
Yeah.
And that's because because there's this other girl that I know, she's a Mexican and her fursona is also yellow, but instead of a white belly, she has a rainbow belly.
Oh gosh.
And her fursona looks like a rainbow threw up on her. That's what she looks like. And so it's like, so hers, it doesn't exactly have clashing colors, but they're loud. They're loud.
It seems overdone.
It's overstimulating, if that makes any sense. Like, there's too much going on. You have to have not so much. Like, if instead of, like, the rainbow belly she had, perhaps, I don't know,
go black, or like like a base
color.
neutral. Yeah, like a base neutral color.
Brown would have been cool.
And the way you'll hear colors kind of mentioned on this show is you'll have pastel colors and you'll have bright colors. A term I like to use to kind of differentiate a pastel color from another color is called a muted color. And what a muted color is, for those of you that kind of don't know, is if you were to take, for example, a green, and you're going to make that green a pastel, you're whitewashing the green. That's what a pastel does. It's a whitewash. What a muted color is that you are darkening it. You're blackwashing the color. It's literally the opposite spectrum, and so that's why when you get like that magenta color, you can have a very bright magenta, or a very, very pastel magenta, or you can have a muted magenta. And for example, right now I'm wearing on my avatar as I'm looking at her in SL, I have a muted magenta top, but because I have a muted magenta top, I have gray pants, because you're not adding black to it. You're adding a very, very heavy gray. Oh, it's not dark gray. It's not light gray. It's just a heavy gray. And that's how you mute a color. And that all goes into color matching as well, which was mentioned in the last episode.
Color matching is important. That's what we're trying to tell you.
and one thing that you kind of want to like notice is, as a person who builds their AVs with different color eyes, here's the tip: if you're gonna have only one eye showing, have the eye that's gonna pop out with color showing. And so the other eye is, like, for me, I always make it gray. I always have one eye be gray, one other eye be the color that's gonna complement or make my eyes pop. And you can translate you into real life. If you have, for example, blue eyes, and you have, some variation of a tan, some variation of dark skin, some variation of light skin, orange skin, yellow skin, green skin, who the heck knows, right?
Yeah.
You can do stuff with your own appearance to make your face pop, to make people drawn to you, to make people look at you, and then just on that alone, it can spark a conversation. And sparking conversation gets friends, and it's a whole rolling ball effect. And even in Second Life, it comes down to the same thing. You'll get messages if you make an avatar look really good. If you spend the time and you at least put some effort, you'll get messages saying, "Hey, yo, your avatar looks really cool," and that's a conversation that you can go ahead and talk about. It's an open door.
Yes, it really is. Like, I'm trying to remember which avatar I get messaged in the most, and I actually think it's the simplest one I have.
Which is your bunny?
The bunny, yeah, the white bunny. Like, she's probably the only weird quotation part of her is that she has the white hair with the black tips. And,
yeah.
Like, that's all she has. She's pure white. But she gets the most attention. It's probably because of her body shape, but whatever. But she has a very pleasant color to look at. So it doesn't, like, attack your eyes.
Yeah.
And so she's very simple. She's very, very easy to appreciate. And so I get a lot of messages when I'm using her. That's probably why I don't use her so much anymore. Because there's a lot to keep up with. But yeah, she's very popular. And my shoes are backwards.
I don't know what.
Yeah, I don't know how that happened, but they're backwards.
Okay then, backward shoes.
Yeah.
You heard it here, folks.
I was gonna put my shoes on, and they're backwards. And yeah, but sometimes a simple avatar can be the most attractive avatar, but it has to be, like, pleasant to look at.
And one other thing that I'm gonna say is that, at least in SL, and this applies mostly just to SL, but it can apply outside of it. If you have a fursona that is massive, and I mean massive, while some people find it really cool, a lot of people will feel dwarfed. A lot of people will kind of try and distance themselves from a large avatar. And this is just an SL. But then again, you can also make a large avatar look very good and, enticing to look at, and you want to engage with that. And a good example is I have two avatars that are very large. One is my robo bird, and one is this giant bunny that looks scary as hell.
Oh my gosh, that bunny.
And you see that's the good contrast, though. Like, even your reaction right there, you're like, oh my god. But then you don't have that with the robo bird, because it's a nice neutral color. It's not too big. It's not too flashy. But the Easter bunny, I just said the Easter Bunny. Oh gosh.
It's an Easter Bunny. It's gonna be an Easter Bunny now forever.
The big Easter Bunny. You know, as one of my friends, as one of my good friends, she goes by the name of Silver. She says, you know, here comes the Easter Bunny, motherfucker, because it looks scary. It looks this huge avatar, and that's why I never use it unless I want to be comedic, because it's a comedic scaredness of that avatar because of just the massive size of it. But with like my Robo-Bird, I don't. It's not comedic. I'll pull it out because I love it. You know.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And that's the difference of it. I mean, I mean, you'll have me referencing myself a lot because I have a lot of different experiences when it comes to avatar building because of the amount of Lindens that I put into the game. Probably too much. Probably way too much.
Wow. But that's what gets you these amazing experiences because you're willing to spend the money on it. You were willing to spend the money on the bunny, on the Robo-Bird, on the Vis, on all of these avatars so that you can find out exactly, you know, how much, the amount that you will either love it or hate it.
Yeah. And the way, like if you're gonna get something in Second Life, here is the way to think about it. Will I get this and immediately regret it? If the answer is yes, don't get it.
Mm.
If the answer is, will I get this, get close with it, and then decide whether I regret it, then it's a maybe. And the reason why I say that is because then that's up to your own judgment. And if it's gonna I'm gonna get this and I'm gonna spend the time to mod this, and whether I like it or not, I'm gonna spend that time, then get it. Because then it gets you that experience. Whether you like it or not, anything you do in SL is a learning curve. It's a building curve. It's a way to build up your knowledge of Second Life. And that's why I always say, if you're new to Second Life, do not be afraid to ask a person who has been in the game for 3 months, 4 months, because they were once in that position not too long ago from you. And then don't be afraid to ask a person who has an account for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years even. I've seen accounts with almost 11 or 12 years on that. And those people have a lot of knowledge. And, whether it might be in the same expertise field that you're looking for or just general knowledge, those people have that knowledge that they can share with you.
Yes, agreed. Greatly agreed.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the reason you got into Second Life and were able to do things is because you asked me things, and now I ask you things.
Well, and you see that's the funny thing, right? Even if you do have an old account, and if you're listening to this podcast and you have an old account, well then awesome, I'm glad you had found us. If you're a new account, and you're listening to us, awesome, I'm glad you found us. But that's the thing though, is that everyone has their own expertise field. I've met accounts with 11, 12 years experience who have asked me how I did something in Second Life. I've also met people, for a good example, when I was making my gestures, walkers, and dancers, I had no expertise in the field. I knew how to audio edit, I knew how to sound edit, but I didn't know how to do anything inside of Second Life. And I asked people, mostly the creators who already made walkers and dancers, but that's because they had that experience. If you want to ask someone how to make a shop, find that person who made that shop and ask them, hey, how did you do this? Can you share anything with me? How did you make your avatar? How did you make this thing? How did you make that thing? And even just by asking that single person, you can get a lot of information. And even if you find something on the Second Life market, I'm going to use Silver here as an example. Silver found a really, really cool avatar being a fennec fox, as Silver is a fennec fox. And she could not find that avatar anywhere, so she messaged the creator and said, hey, how did you make this avatar? And found out that the avatar was made up of multiple different avatars. And the creator gave them the list of how to build it and what to do. And just because she had the will to go and ask, she now knows how to do that. She now has that information.
Yeah, that's cool. Like, one of the things that I ask a lot about is, where did you get that outfit? Where did you buy those shoes? Where can I get those shorts? Like, that's probably a question that I ask a lot of people, and they always will give me either a landmark or a link to the product. So it's like the worst thing that could happen is they ignore you, to be honest. I haven't had it happen, but I'm sure that it can happen. But it's like, that's probably the worst thing that can happen, and you'll probably have to look on your own for the product or the avatar. or ask someone else.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's never a loss to ask. There's always, it's more than likely that they will tell you where they got it or how they made it. So it's like, you know.
Yeah.
Never be afraid to ask. Asking is good things.
Mm-hmm. And you know, along with the whole, the whole where'd you get this, where'd you get that, some people might only ever get one outfit and stick with it because they love it so much and they don't want to change. You know, I'm glad that you found something that you like, and that way you actually have extra Lindens for people that are like me and like to create outfits, like to experiment. I find enjoyment in Second Life doing that because of, that's my own niche. It's the thing I enjoy, and that's the thing I want to try and do in Second Life is find a way to enjoy Second Life. If you can find a way to enjoy Second Life, it's just gonna enhance your experience of Second Life, 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000 fold. It's an exponential growth.
Yes, it really is. The important thing about Second Life is finding the thing that you want to do and doing it. It's like, that's the best thing. And Second Life has everything. Like, probably my favorite thing to do is go shopping. Like, I like to just browse through the marketplace and put a whole bunch of things in my cart, and then I delete the cart.
You and me both. You and me both.
Yeah, and then I'm like, and then I'll just be walking around and see something I like, and I'll buy it. Or like just talking to people is also a whole lot of fun in the game. It's a simple thing. It's the simple thing.
Yeah.
Well, I think that we have jabbered on our tangent for long enough.
We have. We have almost gone over by 30 minutes. Almost.
Almost. So.
But hey, longer episodes for you guys, more fun for you.
Yes. And more knowledge.
Knowledge is power.
Yes.
Power leads to evil things.
Only a little evil. So
unless you want to be an evil scientist.
Not true, because that can be fun.
Yeah.
Create awesome things. Okay, so thank you so much for joining us. This has been Deer2Deer. I am Cherry.
And I am Sale.
And we hope to see you guys next time. Oh, wait, you know what we're forgetting?
What?
Our sponsors.
Oh, yeah, sponsors. Sponsored by our cartel boss, Volk.
Yes.
We always gotta plug him. I mean, come on. Just that supply train. Oh, so good.
Oh, I know, right? And we're also sponsored by Seductively Kawaii, the club that we work at and enjoy and wish for you to go and visit because it's awesome and the mall is really, really good. They have a little bit of everything. It's great.
Yeah.
They have human stuff and furry stuff.
And even
stuff.
And even like bumpers, walkers, and dancers.
Gosh.
Sell the kimono.
And I hear
subtle promotion is subtle.
I hear that they even sell art there that you can buy. I heard. A little birdie told me. Shameless self-promotion.
Oh. Alrighty, well, I thank you for joining us on Deer2Deer today. If you do have any questions, again, please feel free to leave these down in the comments below, and we will always read them and get to them in our next podcast. If you have a question, whether it be about sex, relationship, avatar advice, Second Life advice, we can most likely find an answer for it. If not, we can bullshit our way through it.
Hell yeah. And if you have a question and you would like to remain anonymous by not sending us a direct comment, because sometimes we become embarrassed. I don't know why, but it happens.
You can send it to us in an IM.
You can send it as an IM, or you can send it to our email, which I am getting. Hold on.
You only just created it last week.
Actually, yeah. Okay, so the email address is Deer2Deer. So it's deer as in the animal. 2 spelt as the number 2, TWO, and deer again as the animal.
At gmail.com.
At gmail.com. It's pretty straightforward.
Alrighty.
So if you really have something you want to talk to us about, but you want to remain anonymous, that is a really good place to send us information. And we're always here to answer your questions. No question is too dumb. No question is
too simple.
There's always an answer, and we will be very happy to give you that answer.
Yes.
So, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.